Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I wanted to talk to you about taking pride in how far you've come in the process of recovery. Even if you're just starting out and you were able to resist one compulsion, you have to understand that recovery is built on these little small kind of baby steps. But just like you lost ground with OCD, step after step after step, now you're rebuilding ground or gaining background, winning background, step after step after step. So it's this process of fighting the battle and taking your life back little by little, or for some people it's fast, but for most people it's little by little, just taking that ground back. Okay, I was not able to do that, I'm doing that now. I was avoiding that, I'm not avoiding that anymore. This was scary, I did exposures about it, hours in the day for a week. It stopped being scary. And just like this, just push yourself, push yourself, push yourself until this is no longer an issue. And then be proud of the work that you've done. OCD recovery is definitely not an easy process. So you need to appreciate how far you've come, and it's difficult when you have low self-esteem in addition to OCD. And most people, I would say, probably about 80% of people who are suffering with OCD, if not 90, suffer with low self-esteem to varied degrees, but still to low self-esteem. So if you're in that boat, and most people are in that boat, just like you're gaining ground back, you have to start working on self-esteem. And how do you work on self-esteem? You do ERP. So thought comes in, something negative about yourself. You're saying, no, I'm disregarding, I'm not paying attention, and doing it that way. And if an OCD tells you, or not OCD, but your mind tells you, not an OCD thought, I mean, but just the thought that you get, a negative thought that, oh, I have so far to go, I will never recover. Try to switch it and say, no, this is how far I've come. I'm not listening, I'm not buying into this negative thing anymore. I'm saying, look how far I've come. That was difficult. I've done that. That day where I could have done reassurance behavior, I didn't. I didn't do compulsions. I didn't analyze. I didn't check. I didn't. And it was difficult, and I've done it. And I pushed myself to do this, this, and this, even though I didn't want to. And take pride in that and continue to build your self-esteem. It's focused work. Just like feeling depressed, right? If you're saying, I'm feeling depressed, I can't get out of bed. Well, physically, you can get out of bed, but it just feels difficult. But if you push through and get out of bed, and then push through the next day and the next day and the next day, you will pull yourself out. It's whenever you're faced with a situation, you can call it the exposure, the trigger, whatever. You're faced with a situation, and then you have a choice of what to do. And that choice is what makes up the routine that your brain becomes used to. And then the brain does the routine on autopilot, where it's sending you whatever thoughts you reacted to with the same reaction. So you send, just like an analogy would be, if, say, this is kind of a bad analogy because I don't like to compare OCD, which is extreme, to something trivial, but just so you understand that, say for example, you tried a new food that you've never tried before, and then you see this, and you had a horrible reaction to it, you didn't like it, all of these things. Then you see this food on TV, or somebody talks about it, you automatically have this negative reaction because the brain connected that. It remembered it, it connected it. So you're like, ugh, and immediately dislike it. Same thing with OCD thoughts. It remembers how you reacted over and over and over again, and it's just playing back, that reaction. So if every day you keep reacting that way, it's going to continue to play the same thing back. But if one day you say, no, I'm not reacting to this, and then it's going to make it more difficult to try to push you back into reaction, and then you still say no, and the next day you say no, and the next day you say no. And it could be about the depression thoughts, about self-esteem, about OCD, about anything else. If you continuously say no, the brain will start replaying something different. It will not keep replaying something that you're continuously not buying, but it's the process of reprogramming. That neural pathway is dying out. It's becoming disconnected from the, for example, from the fear receptor in case of OCD, and you start to, you don't have any more fear coming in. But it takes a while. Like I said, it takes about 6 months of focused work, because if you're flip-flopping, one day you're, yep, I'm paying attention, next day, no, I'm not, then you're kind of sending mixed messages to the brain, right? You need to decide to do recovery work and then stick with it. Most of the time, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but most of the time you really have to stick with your decision to do active recovery work. When you start to do that, when you finally, as they say, slam your fist on the table and say, enough is enough, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do recovery work no matter what, and I don't care anymore because I need to recover. Once you make that kind of global decision to do recovery work no matter what, you will start to see real progress. And like I said, just to say, do the same thing for self-esteem, do the same thing for depressing thoughts, do the same thing where you say, oh well, I've missed out on so much, or my life is not what I want it to be. Okay, so you have how many hours in the day? What's the first step to make it how you want to be? What's the first step to doing this? What's the first step to doing that? And just do it. Push, push, push. Every single day, push in all of those directions. You're going to be pretty busy with all of this, but it's work where you are building the life you want. You are building yourself the way you want to be. You don't want to have self-esteem. You don't want to have depression issues. You don't want to have OCD issues, obviously. So keep building that day after day. You will see progress. I promise you, you will see progress. And, you know, with self-esteem, you know, another thing is if somebody talks to you in a way that you dislike, in a way that you find is not right, instead of just taking it from them, right? Speak up. Choose to speak up. And when your mind tells you, well, what if disregarding? You are the boss. You are making the choices, and continue to make the choices and rebuilding your life. I hope you find my videos helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do daily videos about all things OCD, and also, as today's, related to OCD. If you would like to do one-on-one recovery program with me, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. You can sign up from there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.